I realized this is the right thing to be doing, because before that I was concerned, have I joined a cult? Is this some kind of food cult? Is veganism just, a bunch of crazies? I wasn't sure, am I teaching people a way to eat that could risk their health? I was worried that this was some kind of fad that might be problematic for people's health. But after speaking to all those doctors and, spending all that time in front of scientists and professionals who really have been teaching this way of eating and living for 30 plus years or more, I was absolutely certain that this is the ideal way for humans to live and eat and thrive. And I was resolute after that.
That must have been an extraordinary journey. I remember you guys, I either remember you doing it or you telling me about doing it, but just getting to one after another, nothing could be more resounding probably for you.
Incredible. And they all work around the clock. Barnard, Gregor,
constant.
All the various different nutritionists and dietitians who really believe that this is a life-saving way of living, not just for the animals, but for us as well. The leading cause of chronic disease in the West is diet-related. There was an article in the Metro, which is like a popular newspaper here in London this last week, that said that the NHS, the National Health Service, could save like £10 billion if most people in this country switch to a plant-based diet. Don't quote me on that. It's like billions and billions of pounds, but it was just, it just makes sense, doesn't it?
It does. Yes, it definitely does. Here in the States, as we journey as a organization to change or update, I should say, what is served to school children with their meals, which is currently milk, and schools are paid for each and every half pint that is served up. I realize, as I've done so much research and deep dive into the dairy industry and our government and how in bed they are, our government subsidized the dairy industry to the tune of $40 billion with a B dollars a year.
Wow.
And I've just learned after a bigger deep dive recently that with the school lunch program, they are reimbursed with a meal that serves milk. So it's very difficult to find the difference of the cost of the meal and then the milk by itself. But we did find out that 39% of the milk that's served in schools here, the cow's milk that's served in schools here, is dumped. And I thought, way to go, government. Wall Street would be really impressed with that this much money. I mean, it's the school lunch program, the meals are to the tune of around 10 billion. 40% is wasted, is thrown away.
It is criminal. And for all that resource, because obviously for every liter of milk that you have to produce, it's 1,000 liters of fresh water.
Right.
I don't know what that is if you use liters there, but it's just 1,000 times more water, fresh water, that we could be putting on plants to feed humans, or nourishing the environment. It's what an incredible waste of money, time, resources, and of course the lives of mother animals, female animals, cows. Say, mothers, not milk machines. They suffer at the hands of this industry, and it's almost as if all that milk and that suffering is for nothing, and it's just going down the drains. It's abhorrent to me, really. It is.
Yeah. You have an interesting story, a great story. You were working, as we mentioned in the intro, for bigger and more unethical brands earlier in your digital marketing career. And on another podcast, you shared kind of a aha moment when you realized that you needed to be promoting more ethical and conscious companies and choices. Will you tell the story of when you were sitting with around the table at Coca-Cola?
So I was working in an agency in London who shall remain unnamed, but one of their biggest clients was Coca-Cola. It was Coca-Cola, Dr. Pepper, Sprite, I think Fanta. And this exec was sitting around the table kind of talking about figures and numbers, and I'm a designer, creative, and I was just sort of snoozing and drowning, dozing off when they were going on about, performance. And then he slammed his fist on the table and said, "We've got to get kids drinking more soda," or something like that. And I just sort of was really taken aback by what he said. I was there helping create digital campaigns for these brands. And And I was utterly horrified. And I thought to myself, what the hell am I doing? Like, why am I working in an industry that is peddling sugared water to children, essentially? I don't want to be part of this problem anymore. And just by a twist of fate, things didn't work out at that company. And I went to work at Jamie Oliver, and I worked full-time as a digital creative for Jamie Oliver. That was the beginning of my ethical journey, because Jamie is very passionate about, he's not vegan, but he's very passionate about doing the right thing, in the sense of getting kids eating better food, trying to reduce our carbon footprint. He's producing and doing a lot more meat-free meals and trying to encourage people to eat less meat. But he was always a very forward-thinking person, and that experience led me to where I am today. I learned a lot working there.
I saw an old ad from the 50s, the early 50s recently, and it was like a mom with her kid. It was, sketched out like those ads used to be. And it was an ad for Coca-Cola to get, and the kid looked like it was about 2. I mean, it wasn't a teenager. And the ad said, your children, your kids will be more socially active and accepted if they drink Coca-Cola. Wow. And it's like, that's what's happening today with dairy.
Yeah.
I mean, it's horrifying, because it's horrifying, but that's what we're doing. Just slide in another.
The marketing and advertising
drink.
Industry is, an insidious kind of powerful system of mostly men, because they are the ones often that are at the top of all these companies, pushing a greedy capitalist narrative that really wants people to consume at all cost. The tobacco industry, their tactics are the same tactics that the meat industry used, that the dairy industry uses, that the sugary drinks, pop soda industry uses. As was the famous leaked memo from the tobacco industry, doubt is our product. When people feel doubtful about their food choices, they stick to the status quo. They maintain the same diets, the same patterns, the same lifestyles. And that it's particularly bad in the USA. They have this organization called the Center for Consumer Freedom, run and organized by a guy called Rick Berman and his group of marketing execs who are doing essentially what Plant-Based News is doing, but on the other side of the conversation. They are paid by the meat industry, the dairy industry, to write and create content that tries to destabilize confidence in vegan meat, in plant-based milks, in vegan charities like PETA and various other organizations. And they regularly put out billboards, TV ads, magazine ads, newspaper articles, websites, microsites like PETA Kills, designed to particularly, and using the power of advertising and persuasion to convince people to eat that, not that's not good, that vegan meats are toxic and dangerous, and that plant-based milks are full of junk for your children, that you should be afraid of plant-based milks because they're unhealthy and they're full of sugar, and just so much misinformation. And again, doubt is our product. And that's how these media companies work. And they have very deep pockets. Well, the meat industry, the dairy industry have very deep pockets, and they can pay for these organizations to continue to push and peddle material and media that continues to keep people eating and consuming and buying the products that they've always bought for generations. And this is who we're fighting against. And this is the David and Goliath situation. We are a small group of people, and the vegan and activist community are even smaller. This is what we're up against. But I think once we educate people about the power of advertising and media, and how advertising and media is essentially hypnotizing us as children, it starts young on the TV. Put your kids in front of the TV and Sunday afternoon TV and all those ads for junk food and all this stuff. It all begins there.